Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Reuben Shaw.
Great. Thank you for that warm introduction, Rusty. Thanks to all of you for being here tonight for this special occasion. So, 1 year ago, or roughly 1 year ago, on April 20th of last year, we had the great honor of holding our first ever Conquering Cancer Summit featuring former Vice President Joe Biden. And former Vice President Biden spoke passionately and at length about the urgency of now for cancer research and how as much and as many talented people who can apply themselves to helping develop new methods to detect, diagnose, and treat this horrible scourge is really a valiant effort that needs to be encouraged and enabled by higher institutions. Now, here at the Salk, we have a deep history in cancer research. In the founding of the Salk in the late 1960s, two of the early 7 labs that founded the place were in fact giants already in the topic of cancer research. 2 of them would go on to win the Nobel Prize within 5 years of showing up here. And then young assistant professors, some of which you'll be hearing from now, who are slightly less young, who have become leaders and visionaries in developing, diagnosing, and understanding cancer and its roots. So you may be wondering, after all of the deep history we have, why would Salk launch now, for the first time ever, the first dedicated cancer initiative, cancer fundraising effort? And that is because the scientists here in our NCI-designated cancer center, so Salk is actually only one of 7 NCI-designated research cancer centers in the United States, an honor that we have held since 1973 at the time that these were first being awarded. What we have learned in the past 5 to 10 years is that there are more new treatments becoming available in new therapeutic modalities and in different ways of attacking cancer than ever before. But there needs to be a greater appreciation and understanding of how to combine therapeutics and how to dissect out different subsets. With that in mind, we set out specifically to attack 5 of the world's most deadly cancers: glioblastoma, lung cancer, triple-negative breast cancer, pancreatic cancer, and ovarian cancer. And this slide at the bottom simply just shows the 5-year survival rate for all of these cancers. And for all of them, it ranges from pretty bad to abysmal. So there is a lot of work to do. As most of you in this room know, everyone probably has been touched by cancer in one way or another. And though there is reason for hope, which we'll talk a lot about, there's still a lot of work left to do. So what makes Salk's Cancer Center and Salk different? Why do we think that we have a unique insight into treating cancer? Well, the first component really of our approach is that we're small. We're small by design. The Salk's Cancer Center and the Salk itself is still the original famed building that Louis Kahn built in the late 1960s. The labs are almost entirely housed in that building. And we're really a small, nimble group of investigators. Lots of innovations over time in different fields have come from small groups working together. Bell Labs, Google in the beginning, all kinds of hotbeds of activity, and that's really what Salk was designed to do. The second thing is that also from its inception, from Jonas Salk himself and from the leaders who set up the Salk, it was to be bold thinking. We're not interested in making incremental advances, even along certain types of deadly cancer. That's important work. But we hire people and foster them, even from a young age as assistant professors, to go big and to think deeply. That requires an investment of time and an investment on the part of the Institute, because no big idea is ever going to be solved in 3 years or 4 years. If you're going to conquer early detection of pancreatic cancer, for example, that is a long, ambitious goal, but that is exactly what we set about to do. And I think this sentiment is really encapsulated in this famous quote by Jonas Salk, which is on the travertine just outside for those of you who haven't seen it. "Hope lies in dreams, and in the imagination and the courage of those who dare to make dreams into reality." Finally, the key really to putting the whole thing together is the integrative nature of how we attack cancer. So we have separate teams with deep expertise in immunology who use the immune system and harness that. Many of you have probably heard of immunotherapy. We have some world experts. We have recruited in world experts from top schools in the East Coast to fortress that out. We've had a deep and long-running pioneering group in genetics and epigenetics that underlie different forms of cancer. We have another team headed by our Ron Evans that really takes advantage of knowledge that inflammation underpins a certain number of types of cancers. And knowing that and how to tackle inflammation and even how diet and exercise tie into that is another key piece, which we call fighting fire with fire. And as you'll hear from Danny Engel, we also know that biomarkers and early detection is going to be an essential part of any recipe for effective cancer treatment. Finally, my own work is really about harnessing knowledge of metabolism and even diabetes and how the physiology works to target the specific fuel lines that cancer relies on, and then taking all of that information from those 5 disparate approaches and then coming up with a very personalized medicine approach using math, bioengineering, and the latest technologies such as CRISPR, invented in part by Patrick Hsu here. So we really believe in the future for cancer treatment that it's not going to be any one particular magic drug that is going to cure most people of their treatment. It's going to be a combination of approaches, and knowing when and how to deploy those in different subsets of patients is going to be essential. I just want to specifically point out that this is a list of different styles of cancer therapeutics that exist today. And several of these were invented here at the Salk or by people who trained here at the Salk, and those are highlighted in red. So continuing from that legacy of making great scientific breakthroughs also comes a desire and an urge to translate our research findings into actual treatments. So I just want to say a single thing about some of the milestones that have happened in the past year. There have been a number of key advances in these different 5 types of cancer that have been made, and I'm not going to discuss these one by one, but suffice to say, key links between diet and different forms of cancer have been made here at the Salk. Different key genes that are involved in lung cancer and in breast cancer have been decoded. And finally, in very exciting, very recent work that you'll hear about from Tony Hunter's lab, he has identified a new biomarker and potential therapeutic treatment for pancreatic cancer. And really, one of the biggest things that we've accomplished this year was really in the recruitment of this incredibly talented young scientist you will meet, Danielle Engel, who's coming to us from New York, or coming back to us from New York. And she is a world expert in early detection, and I'll let her tell the rest of the story. So let me just stop and summarize by saying, Salk has a deep history of cancer research, and we're now about to write the future. So thank you.